We are doing a make dinner with me. This is like a smoky barbecue flavoring of a dish that I had at a Mexican restaurant last summer, and then I have made it a couple times since then. I wished I did have mushrooms on hand today, and I don't, which is okay. That is how the original recipe had it. We are just going to make it with the things that we have already here in the house. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross, and this is 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐊𝐒, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. I love being able to make versatile meals with the ingredients that I have in our home and swap things up so we never get bored. There is no official recipe for this. We are just making it as we go. One of the times that we made this last summer, I actually had it after it was seasoned, the chicken was seasoned. I had Mike grill it on both sides on the barbecue, and it made those grill marks on it, and it just bumped up the flavor even more. But since it's kind of windy outside and there is so much debris falling on the barbecues tonight, I'm just going to cook it from start to finish in one pan. We are feeding 3 adults here tonight, and I am going to cook 4 chicken breasts, so we have a little bit extra for leftovers. I added the Kinder's wood-fired garlic seasoning to this, but any barbecue seasoning that you want to add to this or smoked paprika would be excellent. The first time I made this recipe, we put it on the meals video last summer. It was actually the meals 14 video, so it's kind of fun that you can see how meals change throughout the years and that we're filming these. But today I'm going to start with this really large onion for this, and I'm going to get those started in the pan and then add the chicken breast to it. And if you want onions to caramelize a little bit faster, you can add a little bit of baking powder to it. I have those onions on the stove going. I did add a little bit of butter to those and the baking powder so they can brown up quickly. And then I'm going to cut up this little tiny zucchini that I have and add it to there. So I'm just adding a little bit more veggies in. And then I have some diced tomatoes. In our old kitchen, this used to be one of our props up on the shelf. And so I finally get to use it because I don't have clear cabinets here to be able to put it up. But I actually made this over 2 years ago, and it's time to use the diced tomatoes. You can just use a can of diced tomatoes from the grocery store if you want to. I am realizing that I was using the excuse for a while that we were getting ready to move and moving, and I haven't been doing any canning projects, but the real reason behind that, I'm realizing more and more, is I am really dealing with some shoulder issues. So I'm trying to see if I can exercise my way out of it and do PT, or if I'm going to have shoulder surgery. But those long days of canning and lifting things out of those big pots is just not happening with this right arm right now. Okay, I just moved the onions kind of out of the way and then put the chicken all the way down on the pan, and I'm going to sear it on both sides 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't have to cook all of the way, because as I'm making the sauce and adding more of the vegetables in, and then it's going to simmer in the pan, it's going to continue cooking until we get it to a safe chicken temperature of 165. You can hear it sizzling in the background. I don't want to add any more oil or liquid to this, so I am going to just go ahead and add the tomatoes into the pan right now. And I just want to make a note that the tongs and the wooden spoon that I was using on the raw chicken, I'm going to wash now and not use the raw chicken spoon anymore, and then it'll be clean. So now we have it for cooked chicken. I did add some salt, pepper, and garlic into the pan, and then also some of the smoked red jalapeno, like chipotle pepper, which I just love. This is a new seasoning to me in the last year or so, and it's one that I've been using on repeat. And to this, as the chicken gets cooked down, we put the lid on it so it can keep cooking in there. I'm going to end up adding about a ½ cup of Greek yogurt to this, which will add a little bit of protein to it, but it'll make that sauce a little bit creamier. And I had just put these in the glass jars to get them out of the plastic containers. So it normally fills up an entire quart and then a little bit of a pint. So I'm going to end up using all of this half of a pint that's in there and probably a little bit out of this jar too. But when you take them out of the plastic containers and put them in a glass container like this with a metal lid that makes it completely airtight, it will last about 2 weeks past the best by date. And I picked this up on my last grocery haul, and so I'm going to end up cutting this into blocks since I'm opening it up now, and then most of it will end up going into the freezer, but I'll have some to shred tonight. Okay, the chicken is almost up to temperature. I'm going to just roughly chop the spinach and add it to the pan, but I am cooling it down a little bit. I'm turning it down to low because I want that to stop bubbling before I put in any of the dairy products so they don't curdle. For dinner, all of the chicken breasts are almost up to temperature. I checked them with the thermometer. It looks like I have a hotter area on my stove because one of them was a little bit warmer than the other ones, but we want to make sure that everything is cooked. And I chopped the spinach. I'm going to add it to the pot, but I turned the temperature off on it so it can cool down. It's not bubbling anymore before I add the dairy products in it so it doesn't curdle. I just mixed in that Greek yogurt or sour cream, whatever you want to use, and then I topped that with the cheese. And since it's not too hot in here right now, I ended up putting it into the oven on the broil just to make it even prettier. But if I wasn't trying to rush dinner so quickly tonight, I would have kept the lid off of it and let some of that tomato sauce, the water in it, to evaporate a little bit more. But it is getting late and we want to eat dinner, so I didn't worry about that tonight. Something I always do whenever I'm taking a pan out of the oven, that is something that I normally grab a handle of. So a pan like this that I use on the stove, is I always put a towel over the handle while it's cooling off so I don't forget and accidentally grab it, because I have burnt myself a couple times over the years grabbing a pan that I just pulled out of the oven, even though I remember to use the mitts when I'm pulling it out of the oven, but once it's sitting on top of the stovetop, it's just a good reminder. So I do that. And then I have all of this dished up here. Normally I would cut this on a cutting board before I dish it up because I hate the sound of knives on my plates and bowls. I hope you enjoyed this Make Dinner with me. We will be putting the recipe in the description if you'd like to make this yourself. And I would just say, if you could smell this, it smells so amazing. I totally forgot until right at this last second, and we don't even care at this point, but I normally had a can of black beans to this. Oops. Anyways, this is delicious with black beans. Just rinse them off and add them towards the end of the cooking time. But I did want to talk about, if you're trying to stretch your meat budget out, cutting up the chicken into chunks and then putting it in. It will help stretch those chicken breasts out so you can feed more people, and you could always serve this over rice.